Hello everyone, Steve here from Tech Toy Tinker and Retro Arena. I wanted to do a brief video for update 5 for the Retro Arena on Anbernic RG503 and 353P. Both images, or both units I should say, use the same image. So I wanted to go through and give you guys a quick little preview, and as things pop up that are new or different, I will talk about them, and then there's a little bit of a changelog I wanted to go through with you as well. So Creative Vision is new. It'll be added when you run the update. You do need a wireless keyboard for this particular application at this current time. There's another emulator that I'm working on, but for now you need a Bluetooth or a USB keyboard. Daphne, of course, and American Laser games use Hipsous and Hipsous Singe emulator, and those work fine. Now, certain systems were actually missing from the listing, such as Super Game Boy. The reason I thought of it is because we're passing it right now. Super Game Boy was missing from the listing, along with a couple other systems like Virtual Boy. Those have been added back, partially thanks to myself and thanks to Christian and a couple of community members who have noticed that they were missing and mentioned it to us. Now, while we're here, there's been some changes to Nintendo 64 as well. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into emulator settings here, and you're going to want to scroll all the way down to Nintendo 64, and then you're going to see that there's some changes here. For both standalone Rice and Glide 64, you can choose widescreen or default aspect ratio. Now, over HDMI, I don't necessarily think you might see that change, but you definitely will on the 503, for example. I mean, we can give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen, right?
It's me, Mario! Hello! It's me, Mario! Hello!
Okay, well, HDMI didn't quite work out as expected, but that's a good thing I noticed that now. Anyway, on your device, widescreen will, or on the 503 at least, widescreen will obviously do what it's supposed to do and give you the little black bars, whereas normal will just be a full screen. I'll let Christian know about the issue there, though, because he's the one that set up that process here. Virtual Boy didn't show up before, as I mentioned, and now it works either via Mednafen or via the LibRetro core. I advise the standalone, but both do work. For me personally, I'm very happy to see this build reach not quite finished status, but a very mature status, specifically because this particular chipset, the 3566, is a decent enough step up from the RK3326 that it allows us to get the rest of the stuff running that we wanted to get running. And it allows us to smooth over those rough edges. And I've been taking a lot of community requests as to what to add to the build. That's how we got stuff like BBC Micro and Creative Vision in the first place, and several other things. And it's nice to be able to do what I want to do without too many restrictions, and also fulfill the wishes of the community at the same time on the same device without having to be torn between 2 or 3 devices to do everything. We got Super Game Boy here. As I said, that's one of the ones that was missing before as well. For those of you that don't know, Super Game Boy is a Super Nintendo adapter that plays Game Boy games. As you could see there was a bit of color instead of it just being monochrome colored. On Nintendo DS here, when you're on the devices, we've decided to move it to being side by side instead of top to bottom. That's especially important for the RG503 as there's definitely the same real estate. Christian Haitian has also rolled that out into ArcOS as well, so that's pretty much across the board. Now I think Fewt's done it in GelOS also, so it's pretty uniform across the board here. Yamasan Shiro has been updated to version 190, which is the most recent version available. That's thanks to Christian Haitian. As well, the Flycast core has been updated and tuned for this particular chipset, the A55. Also thanks to Christian Haitian. I added the Dreamcast VMU back to the build because I thought it was an important piece of video game history, and since we've got Dreamcast Naomi and Atmoswave, it kind of made sense to have the VMU too as far as I'm concerned, so it's been brought back. OpenBore's been updated along with its game controller configuration, along with ScumVM and PSP. That's also thanks to Christian. Christian and I both recompiled the version of PSP to try to improve emulation, and they're both included here. You'll notice when you go to, I'll just show you, when you go to emulator settings here, and you go to PSP, there's two different versions listed here now. He also made some improvements to RetroArch version, which I did. It's PS. That's PlayStation. I went to the wrong setting. There we go. So see, there's standalone stock. One's built by Christian Haitian, one's built by myself. They're both aimed to do the same thing, but there's slightly different variations to how we compiled it. ColecoVision Super Game module is something that I added at the request of a few people in the community, and at least 2 or 3 of you out there watching this video are going to know exactly who you are. This is done using something I didn't know existed until I went looking for it, which is CoolCV. Apparently it's closed source, but the emulator dev made a libretro core for the Raspberry Pi. I was able to take it and get it to run on our devices and just used it, so now we have Super Game module for ColecoVision. Sharp X1's another important one. I added that back and made sure it worked. I'm going to show you guys this quickly too, because some of you that use ArcOS or the other OSs will know from experience that when you turn this on, you boot it, it's got a black screen, and that's all that happens. There is a reason for that. It's because of how the core is compiled. I will pass this info along to Christian and Fewt as well. But you need the IPL loader, as you'll see on the screen here. See that right there? That doesn't happen on the other OSs. It's a different building of the core. It took me a long time to figure that out, just like it took me a long time to learn how advanced MAME worked. We've got all the Commodore systems here. Thompson Theodore. MS-DOS includes DOSBox Pure as well. I'm sure you guys knew that. There's a standalone TI-99. As well, for Pico 8, I include the Retro 8 core, and the standalone one you gotta buy to add the binary yourself. I do not believe in any sort of taken away from emulator developers, which is also why on the Android version of the 353P, I advise you to uninstall Yamasan Shiro 2 and Drastic, and then install Melon DS and Yamasan Shiro 2 free version. I've showed these ones in other videos. I don't really need to do that here, but they do look really nice, the LCD games. Ports here, we've obviously got the latest Ports Master and whatnot, which makes it easy for everybody to do that new Super Ninja Turtles, or Super Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that Rush just did a video on. Over here in CPU scripts, for those of you that are new, you can change the frequency to an overclock. You can change the CPU governor. You can check the temperature and the frequency of the CPU. The rest of this stuff is pretty standard. Tools, here's where you got Kodi Ports Master and Theme Master. Here's where you got your OTA updater. You got your Bluetooth connection wizard, which has been modified to Christian Haitian's latest script, so it works a little better with legacy controllers. This will give you your IP address, or you can press start. And this one's pretty self-explanatory. Vertical Arcade, I went ahead and kept it on the 353P despite the smaller screen, so if you wish, you can just flip your console sideways and play games. It'll automatically handle all of that. I'm also pretty close to getting Naomi 2 working, so that's another development there. So now that we're pretty much through all of the different stuff in the video here, I wanted to go and read some of the changelog just so that you guys get a clear scope of what's been done here. So between Christian and I, Neo Geo Pocket and Neo Geo Pocket Color not loading has been fixed. Christian fixed the EC Wolf files. We got the System D and Bluetooth configuration stuff working. We added a RetroArch Tate configuration. I started doing it. Christian did the majority of it. A lot of Kodi work has been done. That's been almost exclusively done by Christian Haitian. John Irving updated Theme Master. As I mentioned earlier, we fixed Virtual Boy not loading. And we changed the Nintendo DS to the dual screen sideways. We fixed Super Game Boy, updated PSP. Christian updated the missing info files for Muppin 64 and some of the other cores. I've added those to the build as well. We got that N64 standalone with the widescreen. Christian set that up for us. I also added support for the Italian language to Emulation Station. That would be thanks to the Batocera team. As I mentioned, PSP Scum and OpenMSX have had updated controller configs. We also updated how the sound works. You can use left and right now as well to do some stuff with it. That would be thanks to Animeware. I'm looking for the exact entry so I can credit Animeware properly. Updated volume control to be more granular. Thanks to Animeware for the suggestion. So basically, what I'm trying to say is how we got here to where we are now for the community image is really a community work. There's Animeware, there's John Irving, there's Emperor of Tigers, there's myself, there's Christian Haitian, there's Batocera, there's Fewt and the Jello OS team. Everyone's contributed a little bit to this image. Oh, also Sammy2142 needs a shout out as well. And Anbernic. So yeah, everything together. We've all been working together for a long time now, and we've put together a really great image for all of you. It doesn't matter whether it's ArcOS, Retro Arena, Jello OS. We all work together and share ideas. That's going to about wrap it up for this video. I just wanted to give you guys a quick view of what's going on in this new update. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.